in South Africa, just do this briefly, because South Africans are voting today. This is I think this is the fourth or fifth election since the end of apartheid. Nelson Mandela became president in 1994. After Nelson Mandela, Thabo Mbeki was president. Now Jacob Zuma's the president. And, the African National Congress, which is the party of the liberation of South Africa, it's the party of Nelson Mandela, it's the party that's been governing South Africa since the end of apartheid. They're going to win, no question. And they have some accomplishments in government, certainly. And Nelson Mandela, obviously, I think maybe we could complexify his legacy in some respects, like I do with my brilliant right-wing Mandela character. But all kidding aside, I mean, obviously Nelson Mandela is known globally for truly being an outstanding, one-of-a-kind leader, and that's an absolutely beyond deserved reputation. Truly amazing man. But the ANC is bigger than Mandela, and South Africa is obviously bigger than the ANC. And I think one of the things about the story of the African National Congress and the story of what they've been in government, which is a very neoliberal party, there's been a lot of corruption scandals. There was a major arms sale deal that happened in the 90s that have implicated many members of the South African of the African National Congress. Jacob Zuma, the current president, has had all sorts of corruption allegations and has used government funds to build and extend properties and things like that, all while the poverty rate and human rights situations in South Africa's mining industry and things like that have remained incredibly problematic. And I just think that the thing to reflect on is that, one, South Africa and the ANC are fascinating. And in a very, the fallout of this election could be very interesting, because now we have, even though the ANC will win, we have former senior members of the ANC encouraging a no vote or a none of the above vote to protest the state of things. You're seeing an emerging left in South Africa, but a left that's very compromised by its own potential corruption allegations and problematic political tendencies. So all of that is happening. And I think when we go back to the liberation of South Africa, which obviously happened right around the time of the fall of the Soviet Union, and this time, which I don't have a clear memory of, being really young at the time, but we think there was this sense that there was an extraordinary amount of opportunity in the world, and the trends were going in the right direction. And then what happened was we bought into this model of neoliberalism, of deregulation, and coupled with that, a lot of austerity policies, even before the austerity that's been driven down everybody's throats after the financial crisis. And those policies, which globally led to shrunken states, to more social stagnation, increased inequality, have played out in South Africa. So you look at the ANC as a party that represented this extraordinary effort of liberation of these types of oppression, of systemic racism, of colonialism, all of those legacies, and then came into power right at the time when they felt there was no other option but to follow an IMF World Bank model. And that's why the policy has not matched the rhetoric of full liberation of South Africa, because it wasn't supposed to just, there was a political, racial liberation, but there's also an economic and social justice liberation, which has not happened. So those fault lines are opening up, and that's why you see in South Africa this both where sadly this government has not gone and not been able to go, and potentially, if we don't check our own trends, a harbinger of where we're going in terms of structural inequality, collapse of public services, and all of the institutional realities that circle that. So I just want to note that, follow that election. There's a lot to it. It's really fascinating.